Hi, I'm Sky. Before I continue, please like and subscribe. One click from you means more stories can be shared. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers and make a difference. Let's begin. The day I learned my father's true colors started like any other Tuesday. I was crossing at the intersection near my college, right of way and everything, when a silver sedan came barreling through the red light. I remember the screech of brakes, a flash of pain, then nothing. I woke up to voices arguing above me. My body felt like one giant bruise, but the words hurt worse than my injuries. "Take her to the cheapest ward," my father was saying. "If she dies, less money wasted." My eyes fluttered open to see Dad standing over me in his pressed suit, not even looking at my broken body, but instead checking his watch impatiently. "Sir, your daughter needs immediate medical attention," the driver stammered. He was young, maybe mid-20s, face pale with shock. "And she'll get it," Dad replied, straightening his tie. "Just not at some overpriced private room. Insurance will cover the basics." "Mr. Harmon, please," a woman's voice cut in. I recognized Dr. Winters, our family physician for years. "Sky has potentially serious injuries. This isn't the time to—" "It's exactly the time," Dad snapped. "Everyone's always got their hand out when there's an accident. The basic ward will do fine." I let my eyes close, pretending unconsciousness while tears slid down my temples. 22 years as his daughter, and I'd never seen him so clearly before. "I'm calling your mother," I heard Dr. Winters say firmly. "Do whatever you want," Dad replied. "I've got a meeting in 30 minutes. "Your daughter was just hit by a car. And she'll recover or she won't. Either way, I have responsibilities." His footsteps retreated, and I felt a gentle hand on mine. "Sky, can you hear me?" Dr. Winters asked softly. I opened my eyes. "Every word," I whispered. Her face softened with sympathy. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be," I said, a new resolve forming through the pain. "Just help me get better. I have some responsibilities of my own now." 3 months later, I was fully recovered physically, but emotionally transformed. The accident had broken more than just my leg and 2 ribs. It had shattered the illusion that my father cared about anyone but himself. "How is physical therapy?" Mom asked as I limped into our kitchen. She looked tired, the strain of the past months evident in the new lines around her eyes. "Fine. Dr. Coleman says I'm ahead of schedule." I grabbed a water bottle from the fridge. "Is he home?" Mom's smile faded. "Working late again. The Harrison account is giving him trouble." "Right." I took a long sip. The all-important Harrison account. More important than family dinner. Again. "Sky," Mom sighed. "Your father works hard to provide for us." "Mom, he told the driver to take me to the cheapest ward because if I died, less money wasted." Those were his exact words. She flinched but shook her head. "You were in shock. You must have misheard." "Ask Dr. Winters. She was there." "I don't need to ask anyone. I know your father." I set down my water bottle carefully. "Do you? Because I'm starting to think none of us ever did." The doorbell rang, saving Mom from answering. It was Aunt Claire, Dad's younger sister and the black sheep of the family for choosing social work over corporate law. "There's my warrior," she exclaimed, pulling me into a gentle hug. "Looking stronger every day." "Hey, Aunt Claire," I smiled genuinely for the first time that day. "What brings you by?" "Can I check on my favorite niece?" She winked, then turned serious. "Actually, I was hoping to talk to both of you." Mom gestured to the living room. "What's this about?" Once seated, Aunt Claire leaned forward. "I've been doing some digging after what Sky told me about Robert's behavior at the hospital." "Claire, please," Mom started. "Not this again." "Ellen, you need to hear this. Robert's been moving money around, transferring assets. I'm worried he's planning something." Mom's face flushed. "How dare you spy on our finances?" "I didn't have to spy. Marcus works at the bank, remember? He noticed some unusual transactions and was concerned." I watched Mom's face carefully. "What kind of transactions?" "Large withdrawals. New accounts in his name only." Aunt Claire turned to Mom. Ellen, has he asked you to sign anything recently? Mom's hesitation told me everything. Just some routine paperwork for the house? Did you read it before signing? I asked. Of course Well, Robert said it was just refinancing to get a better rate. Aunt Claire and I exchanged glances. Mom, I need to tell you something else, I said. Remember last Thanksgiving when Dad missed dinner for an emergency client meeting? Yes, what about it? I saw him that night at Rosewood Restaurant with a woman. They weren't discussing business. Mom's face crumpled. You're mistaken. I wish I was. I took a picture. I pulled out my phone and showed her. Dad laughing, hand resting intimately on his assistant Veronica's arm. This doesn't prove anything, Mom whispered, but her voice lacked conviction. Ellen, Aunt Claire said gently, Robert's been taking advantage of your trust for years. You both deserve better. Mom stood abruptly. I think you should go, Claire. Mom, both of you just stop. I need to think. After Aunt Claire left, I found Mom in the garden, staring blankly at her roses. I'm not trying to hurt you, I said softly. Then what are you trying to do, Sky? I sat beside her. Open your eyes before he takes everything from you, from us. She didn't respond, but she didn't send me away either. Progress, I thought. The following week, I arranged to meet Dad's business partner, Uncle Marcus. Not a real uncle, just Dad's oldest friend, for coffee. Thanks for meeting me, Uncle Marcus, I said as we sat down at the cafe. Of course, kiddo. How's the recovery? Better every day. Listen, I wanted to talk to you about Dad. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. What about him? Has he seemed different to you lately? Making unusual decisions, maybe? Marcus studied me carefully. Why do you ask? Because the man who raised me wouldn't tell a driver to take me to the cheapest ward after I was hit by a car and say, if she dies, less money wasted. Marcus paled. Robert said that to my face, while I was bleeding on the pavement. He didn't know I could hear him. Jesus, Marcus muttered, running a hand through his graying hair. That explains a few things. What things? He hesitated. Client complaints, missing meetings, questionable investments. I assumed it was stress, but maybe he's just showing who he really is, I finished. Marcus leaned forward. Sky, there's something you should know. The company's annual client appreciation dinner is next week. Your father's giving the keynote. And it might be a good opportunity for certain truths to come out? I narrowed my eyes. What are you suggesting? Nothing illegal, he assured me. Just the right people asking the right questions at the right time. I smiled slowly. Uncle Marcus, I think we need to talk strategy. The night of the client dinner arrived, and Mom insisted we attend as a family. Dad seemed surprised when I agreed without argument. Look at us, the perfect Harmon family, Dad said as we entered the ballroom, his arm around Mom's waist, smile plastered on his face. Perfect, I echoed, catching Uncle Marcus's eye across the room. During the mingling hour, I approached Mr. Takahashi, one of Dad's oldest clients, now in his 70s. Miss Harmon, he greeted me warmly. Wonderful to see you recovered from your accident. Thank you, Mr. Takahashi. Your flowers were very thoughtful. Your father spoke often of your resilience. He was quite distraught after your accident. I tilted my head. Was he? That's not how I remember it. No? No. In fact, do you know what he said to the driver who hit me? Take her to the cheapest ward. If she dies, less money wasted. Mr. Takahashi's eyes widened. Surely you misheard. Dr. Winters was there. She heard everything. I gestured to where she stood with her husband by the bar. I'd made sure she received an invitation. Most concerning, Mr. Takahashi murmured. Isn't it? Almost as concerning as what he said about your portfolio last month? His eyes sharpened. What about my portfolio? I believe his exact words were, Old man Takahashi won't notice if we shift some assets around. He'll be dead before the returns matter anyway. Mr. Takahashi's face hardened. I see. Just thought you should know the kind of man you're trusting with your legacy. I moved on, repeating variations of this conversation with 3 other key clients, carefully dropping information I'd gathered from Marcus about Dad's dismissive comments and questionable decisions regarding their accounts. When dinner was served, I watched Dad work the room, oblivious to the whispers following in his wake. Then it was time for his speech. "Distinguished guests," he began. "Family, colleagues, it's my honor to—" "Robert," Mr. Takahashi interrupted, standing slowly. "Before you continue, I have a question about my account," Dad faltered. "Perhaps after the dinner—" "I think now is appropriate," Mr. Takahashi insisted. "Several of us have concerns about recent decisions made without consultation." Dad's eyes darted around the room, finding several stony faces among his top clients. "There seems to be some confusion." "No confusion," Mrs. Hernandez, another major client, cut in. "Your daughter confirmed what we suspected about your professional ethics." Dad's face reddened as he looked at me with dawning realization. "Sky has been through a traumatic experience. She's confused." "Am I confused about you telling the driver to take me to the cheapest ward?" I stood, voice carrying across the now silent room. "Am I confused about you saying if she dies, less money wasted?" Gasps rippled through the crowd. "That's preposterous," Dad sputtered. "I would never—" "I was there," Dr. Winters spoke up. "I heard every word, Robert. I've kept silent out of respect for your family, but I won't stand by while you call your daughter a liar." The room erupted in murmurs. Dad gripped the podium, knuckles white. "This is a misunderstanding. Like the misunderstanding with the Peterson Trust?" Marcus added, rising from his seat. "Or the Raymond merger documents?" Dad's face went from red to ashen. "Marcus, don't—" "I've covered for you for years, Robert," Marcus continued. "No more." One by one, clients began gathering their things and leaving, some stopping to speak quietly with Marcus. Within minutes, the room was half empty. Dad stormed over to me. "What have you done?" he hissed. "Told the truth," I replied calmly. "Something you might try sometime? You've ruined everything." "No, Dad. You did that all by yourself." The fallout was swift and merciless. Within a week, Dad had lost 60% of his clients. Marcus initiated proceedings to dissolve their partnership based on ethics violations. And Mom, after meeting with a forensic accountant Aunt Claire recommended, filed for divorce. I was helping Mom box up photo albums when Dad arrived unannounced. "Ellen, this has gone far enough," he declared, ignoring me completely. Mom barely looked up. "The locks are being changed tomorrow. Please take what you need and leave the rest." "This is still my house." "Actually," I interjected, "according to the preliminary division of assets, it's not. And you're trespassing." Dad finally acknowledged me with a glare. "You turned my own wife against me. You did that yourself when you cheated on her with Veronica." His eyes widened. "How did you—" "No? I've known for years. So has Aunt Claire. Now Mom knows too." "Ellen," he tried again, voice softening. "We can work through this. 25 years of marriage." 25 years of lies," Mom interrupted. "I've spoken with your other women, Robert. All of them." Dad paled. "What women? There's only been 5 that I know of," Mom finished. "And those are just the ones Veronica told me about after I showed her the prenup clause about infidelity. Turns out, she doesn't like being just another mistress." Dad collapsed onto the sofa. "This is a nightmare." "No," I said. "A nightmare is hearing your father say your life isn't worth decent medical care. A nightmare is watching your mother cry herself to sleep for years while you pretend not to notice." For the first time, something like shame flickered across Dad's face. "Sky, I never meant—" "That day I was stressed about the Johnston account. I didn't mean what I said." "Yes, you did," I replied. "That's the problem, Dad. You absolutely meant it. It wasn't a momentary lapse, it was just the first time I heard what you really think." "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm truly sorry." "Your apology means nothing," I said, feeling a strange calm. You're only sorry because you're facing consequences. What do you want from me? He asked, suddenly looking old and defeated. Nothing, not anymore. Just leave us alone to rebuild what you broke. He stood slowly. This isn't over. Mom stepped forward. Yes, Robert, it is. After he left, Mom and I sat in silence for a long moment. Are you okay? I finally asked. She took my hand. I should be asking you that. I've had longer to process who he really is. How did I not see it? She wondered. Because he didn't want you to, I said gently. And because you loved him. She squeezed my hand. I'm so sorry I didn't believe you. You believe me now. That's what matters. 6 months later, life had transformed. Dad's firm collapsed under scrutiny from the state bar after Marcus provided evidence of ethical violations. The divorce settlement left Mom with the house and most of their assets due to the infidelity clause. I had graduated college and started a job at a nonprofit Aunt Claire recommended. We were having Sunday dinner. Mom, Aunt Claire, Uncle Marcus, who'd become a surprising ally and friend, and me when the doorbell rang. It was Dad, looking haggard and unkempt. What do you want? I asked through the barely opened door. Just 5 minutes, please. I considered shutting the door, but curiosity won out. I stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind me. Talk. I lost everything, he said simply. The firm, my reputation, my savings. And I deserve it. What I said that day, there's no excuse. I crossed my arms. Is that all? No. He swallowed hard. I wanted you to know I'm getting help. Therapy. Turns out I've been broken for a long time. Congratulations on your self-awareness, I said coldly. If that's all, I don't expect forgiveness, he interrupted. I just wanted you to know that you were right about everything, and I'm sorry. For a moment, I saw the father I thought I had, vulnerable, human, but it was too late. I hope therapy helps you, I said finally. But we're done. Don't come back. His shoulders slumped. I understand. As he turned to leave, I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and sadness. Dad? He paused. Get help for yourself, not for us. We're already healing without you. Back inside, Mom looked at me questioningly. Everything okay? She asked. I smiled genuinely. Yes, everything is exactly as it should be. Later that evening, as we finished dessert, Uncle Marcus raised his glass. To new beginnings. And to consequences, I added. Aunt Claire grinned. And to family, the real kind. We clinked glasses as laughter filled the room. The sound of healing, of moving forward. Some people say forgiveness is for yourself, not the other person. But I've learned something different. Sometimes the greatest peace comes not from forgiveness, but from accepting that some relationships aren't worth saving. Sometimes the healthiest choice is to walk away and build something better from the ruins. So let me ask you this. Would you forgive someone who showed you their true self at your most vulnerable moment? Or would you thank them for finally being honest and move on with your life?